Hey everyone, and welcome to 121 Movie News. I am Pierre, that is Connor, and as the title implies, we talk about movie news on this show. I need to figure out a more eloquent introduction to this one. Like, I don't know, I feel like with TV news I've got like a list of things that I can say, this is what we talk about. This one's a little bit weirder in that it's like, okay, there's sometimes castings, and there's sometimes, new movies announced.
Yeah. Basically, what you're saying is the movie news industry.
It's not as organised.
Their press cycle just needs to be better.
Yes, they don't have a consistent cycle, but yes. So yes, this is movie news, and it's something that we just officially changed to every other week as opposed to trying to hit every week. Reason for that is just because it opens up some time for us to do other things, but also because it felt like the news was inconsistent week to week, and doing it every 2 weeks means that it's more likely to be a more consistent, nice amount of news every time that we come to talk about it. Hopefully with some headlining things, because there was nothing worse than like after like we did a movie news and I'm like, what's the headline, and I'm looking through the news and I'm like, there's nothing to put in the headline. There's no, that's the title of the show this week.
Yeah, it's just that'll do.
Yeah. But not to worry. We have exciting things this time, and we have some sections here. We have box office, which we'll always guess for the next 2 weeks whenever we're doing this, because we'll be doing 2 weeks at a time. And then we have our comic book movie news. We have our blockbuster, and then we have a horror movie section at the end, and that's the show. So starting with box office, so we have 2 weeks to look at, of course, since last show. We did make guesses. We made guesses for the second weekend of Captain Marvel and the opening for Captive State. So, yes, Captain Marvel was number one on its second weekend, not surprised. This is for the weekend of March 15th to 17th. You guessed 98 million.
Yeah, I went comedy high, I remember.
Yes, I guessed 90 million, which was actually still too high, but clearly I'm winning because it was 67.9 million, which to be honest is actually still a pretty good drop. It's not actually bad. It makes us guessing so high makes it look like, oh, that's disappointing. It actually isn't. Like, it's a 55% drop, which is well within line to positive for what a big blockbuster open weekend does to its second weekend. So we'll talk about totals when we do the newer weekend, as that just makes sense. Number 2 was Wonder Park, which was a new entry at 15.8 million. Number 3 was 5 Feet Apart with 13.1 million, also a new entry. Number 4 was How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World with 9.2 million. Number 5 was Tyler Perry's Medea Family Funeral with 7.8 million.
I'm liking this because I seem to recall going comedy low with Captive State.
We'll find out in a second, won't we? Number 6 was No Man's Frida 2 with 3.8 million, new entry. Number 7 was Captive State with 3.1 million.
And what did we guess?
You guessed 12.5 million.
Oh.
Yeah, but that was what I guessed. If I guessed higher than that, you've won it.
Yeah, I can't remember what you guessed.
I guessed 11, baby. I'll take 2 points.
You did that stupid little shitty thing of, I'll go just below.
How dare you? How dare you? I actually do think that's surprisingly low. I did not expect it to be that low. I thought it'd be close to what we said.
I think the fact that I forgot it existed between the two news shows tells you a lot.
Number 8 was Lego Movie 2 with 2.1 million. Number 9 was Alita Battle Angel with 1.9, and number 10 was Green Book with 1.2. So that was the 15th to the 17th. This weekend, it's just finishing now at the time of recording. Obviously, we had a new entry. We didn't guess for this week because we didn't know we were going to like a 2-week schedule at the time. Obviously, now we're going to guess for the next 2 weeks at the end of the box office section. But number 1 was obviously Us. Because that was the big new movie out this past week, and it actually exceeded expectations. It earned double what the original estimates were. The first time they were estimated, it made double that. It opened to 70 million, which was also, I believe, double of, give or take, of Get Out, Jordan Peele's last film.
I can tell you now, I wouldn't have guessed that high.
I don't think I would either, so it's impressive.
I probably wouldn't have gone over 40-45. So, if I'm being honest.
And that'd still be solid for a horror movie.
Yeah, but that would have probably been where I'd have landed if I was feeling optimistic last week.
But no, it got 70 million, so congrats to that. So it's in the mid-90s now, worldwide. It's definitely US focused. Number 2 is Captain Marvel with 35 million in its third weekend, which is a pretty solid third weekend. if there ever was one. Worth mentioning that worldwide Captain Marvel is sitting at 910 million, so that billion's a lock.
Yeah.
It is a lock. I mean, it honestly was a lock from week 2, because there was like, okay, at this point, you can see the trajectory at that point.
Yeah.
And you can kind of guess it, but so that's notable. And if you look at the MCU worldwide rankings with that,
I know it's knocked out Iron Man, right? Of the top 10.
Which? Oh, sure, yeah. Iron Man was already knocked out though.
Yeah. What was it? What's 11?
Iron Man's down at number 17. Iron Man was knocked out.
Iron Man 3? Iron Man 2? I don't know. Was there someone?
No,
was a headline?
There's not even an Iron Man close to number 10.
Okay, then whatever headline I saw was chatting bollocks.
Are you sure they weren't talking about domestic?
Oh, there might have been. Like I said, I saw a headline. That was at work.
No, number 7. It's number 7 on the worldwide list at 910 million. To get to number 6, it has to beat Civil War, which is at 1.153. So it could get past that. And then Iron Man 3 is at 1.2. Could maybe scrape to that. I think it tops out there though. Black Panther's at number 4 with 1.34. So I don't think it quite hits that. But still, this will be their $7th billion film.
Yeah,
in the
Disney
franchise.
Raking it in.
Disney controlling everything, yes. So that's number 2. Number 3 was Wonder Park with 9 million. Number 4 was 5 Feet Apart with 8.7 million. Number 5 was How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World with 6.5. Number 6 was A Medea Family Funeral, 4.5. Number 7 was Gloria Bell with 1.8 million. Number 8 was No Manches Frida 2 with 1.7 million. Number 9 was Lego Movie 2 with 1.1. And number 10 was Alita Battle Angel with 1 million. So clearly it was the top 2 films that were taking most of the money this past weekend. But yeah. There you go. So that is the box office. We do have 2 weeks to guess for, and we do actually have some fun things. I think for this first weekend coming up, we'll guess Us Week 2, and we'll guess for Dumbo, which is coming out.
Is that already?
Yeah, and then a week after that, we'll be guessing for both Shazam and Pet Sematary. So got some notable things there. There's some fun things to guess, especially that second week. So, Dumbo, Connor.
Higher than I'd like.
Amen.
I think it takes the top spot.
Sure, yeah, I could see that.
Even though I will say I think Us will hold quite well. I still think Dumbo does better. I don't think it kills it though. I don't think it's like amazing. I think it's a solid 43.5.
Do you know what's annoying is I already had a number in my head, and I think you're going to think I'm doing my.
You should have said it, shouldn't you?
You think I'm doing my thing, but I was actually thinking 42, because I decided a number for both of them together in my head.
Okay.
So I'm going with 42 for Dumbo. What you got for Us Week 2?
28, and you're going to be a dick and say 30.
I was going to be 30 though. It was always 30.
It was, yeah, I know. It's why I specifically went to 28, because I was like, well, you're going to go 30, and I'll screw it.
That could go either way though on Us, I think.
It could, yeah.
I actually think you're more likely to get Dumbo, annoyingly, but I think Us could really go either way. But the big question is Shazam opening weekend.
Can I ask a question for some research first?
Okay, what's the question?
What was Aquaman's opening weekend?
Oh, that was big. That was like a... Let me just do a quick...
I need a barometer. I need something to go off of, because I've got... I don't want to be like just stupid on this one. Worth noting, obviously, it had some early showings this week, and it's getting a lot of positive buzz.
It's getting a lot of positive buzz. I'm happy to hear it. Matt went to go see it, the prick. So, Aquaman's opening weekend was... Oh, it was actually lower than I thought it was. It was 67 million.
Okay, I'm glad I asked. Because I think it's lower
which is insane, because that's made over $1 billion.
Yeah, that held astonishingly well, right?
Yeah, worldwide figures, damn. Yeah, its week 2 was 52. That was a hell of a small drop.
Yeah, because I'm glad I asked, because I was gonna say 65, and I'm like, no, it's lower than Aquaman. So I'm glad I asked. I'm gonna go with 52.
52.
Because DC.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with 55.
Yeah. I can see you taking that one. I just I went for the number with a reason rather than doing an actual guess.
So opening the same weekend and bizarrely getting positive buzz, which I did not see coming.
Really? I've not seen any buzz, admittedly, so...
Yeah, apparently Pet Sematary Remake is reviewing well. The festival showings are being kind
I've not seen any of that myself, but I'll take your word for it.
So that's opening the same weekend as the family-friendly Shazam. Where do you think that falls?
I think it helps that they're very different markets. I don't think they're clashing too much. I think it's lower, obviously. Name recognition probably helps. Stephen King probably helps. Let's go around 32.
Okay. I'm going to guess 27.
Both reasonable.
Yeah. In
the same area.
So there you go. That's guesses for the next 2 weeks. So we'll come back in 2 weeks' time and find out how we did. Probably poorly, as history shows.
Yeah, we're not very good at this.
No, we're not.
You'd think after a year plus would have gotten better.
That's part of the fun, though. That's part of the fun. So, out of the news, starting with the comic movie news, probably easily the biggest news of the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, you got a headline this time, haven't you?
Yeah. James Gunn has been reinstated as the writer-director of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And not only that, because obviously he just signed on to direct Suicide Squad 2, which we've also heard is going to be more of a hard reboot rather than a sequel.
Forget about that too.
Yeah, which is fine. I'm okay with that news.
That's going to be one of the quickest turnarounds for a reboot.
I know, it's insane. So yeah, he's doing that first. Like basically, Disney's like, no, you've signed to do that. You finish Suicide Squad 2, so we're going to get that first. We're going to get that in like 2021 or 2020.
2020, I think it was.
Yeah. And then in 2022, maybe we'll get Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
I think there was reports this week that production is starting in 2021, like mid 2021. So
2022.
Late 22, maybe early 23.
Okay. I thought I might have got a bit quicker because the script's already done. Because he's already written the script. He'd done that before all this shenanigans.
No, it's true. I think, but it depends what else they've got in their release schedule, right?
That's true. What's interesting to me about this is I actually don't mind waiting the extra time because it's like, well, fun, absence makes the heart grow fonder. So that works. You know it's coming. They
might have to change the script a bit though, based on what's going on in the universe at that point.
It depends. I wonder if like anything really is different. As long as it's post Endgame, it doesn't really matter because it's.
It could be. Yeah, it depends what they've got coming up after, doesn't it?
But I think essentially what's funny looking at this now in hindsight, now that we've kind of resolved it all and he's back and he's doing the movie again, is that all that this really accomplished was delaying the film probably a couple of years.
And a bit of negative press overall.
And a bit of negative press. But, ultimately when you look back at this, or in a year's time when you're thinking of this, it's like, well, it's just delayed. It's still happening. It's fine. That's really the only outcome. Yeah. So it's good news. Most people were happy to see him back. So
yeah, there's a lot of reports that they didn't even look for anyone else. Yeah. They knew what they were doing, and they went, you know what? We just got to wait long enough for it to blow over before we announce it again.
Yeah, I wonder if like Feige convinced them really quickly that it was the bad move to let him go, and then it was like, okay, fine, we'll rescind, but we're not going to make any official decisions for 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, whatever it is. So yeah. He's been very thankful on the Twitters and on your social medias and all the rest of it. So it's good news. And it was kind of a holy shit moment because Disney were so adamant that it wouldn't happen back at the start that a lot of people just kind of I guess it won't happen.
Yeah.
But now here we are. Don't believe a word they say, basically.
Yeah.
Going forward.
I did see Taylor Waititi tweeting, going, "Damn it! I thought I was getting to do that one now." Because that was the rumor for a while that it would be him.
My favorite tweet about this whole thing was someone someone just on Twitter said, "Oh, I guess Chris Pratt's hopes and prayers paid off." Because for those of you not aware, back when this all happened, when Chris Pratt was asked about an interview, he said, "Oh, he's praying for it. He's praying for Gunn's return." And people kind of mocked it at the time, but and they're still mocking it. I'm not saying this is not mocking it. I'm just. Yeah.
The problem is, he can go see.
Maybe we'll say that, but But hey, so speaking of Marvel, though, they have set a director for Shang-Chi. If you've forgotten this was happening, Shang-Chi is their Asian-led film that they've been developing.
I have forgotten who Shang-Chi is.
Yeah, I never heard of them when they first announced this, and I didn't really. I mean, I remembered it was a what type of character it was, but I couldn't have told you who he was. You know, like, cause I've got the description again, because I mean I was never going to remember this. But yeah, so they've got Destin Daniel Cretton, who's signed on to direct the film. And he's actually right now he's directing a film called Just Mercy that he also wrote, which stars Brie Larson and Michael B. Jordan. So he's working on that just now. So he's going to do this afterwards. So it's funny, they've not made an announcement about Phase 4 yet, but I mean we can actually kind of we have a number of them. We can, we know Doctor Strange 2 is coming, we know Black Panther 2 is coming, we know Captain Marvel 2 is pretty much guaranteed, Guardians Volume 3 is guaranteed, Black Widow is guaranteed at this point. We can actually name like 5 or 6 of them at this point.
Yeah.
Some kind of Avengers movie, whatever the new wave of Avengers is going to be. 7, there you go.
Yeah, it kind of makes the whole insistence of not telling us anything kind of pointless.
Yeah, it's stuff like Invaders and obviously we're all expecting X-Men and Fantastic Four. More on that in a minute.
Yeah, and there's talk of Celestials still going around.
Yeah, so I'm sure there'll be some surprises, but they've got that. So just to remind you, Shang-Chi is the son of China-based globalist who was raised and educated by his progeny in reclusive China compound, closed off to the outside world. The son trained in martial arts and developed unsurpassed skills. He is eventually introduced to the outside world to do his father's bidding, and then has to come to grips with the fact that his revered father might not be the humanitarian he has claimed to be, and is closer to what others call him the Devil's Doctor. He also might be centuries old. The deceit makes them bitter enemies. So,
I mean, okay, sounds a bit generic, but
this is the thing, though. If they make a good movie about it, suddenly this character is actually someone that people know about, because I'd never heard of him before this. So, go for it, I guess. So next up, speaking with Marvel, we spoke about last time, I think, maybe a couple of episodes ago, about the shortlist for the second lead in Black Widow. Florence Pugh seems to be the one who's actually winning that race. She's not officially cast yet, but she's the one that's now the favourite, which is good, because she was my favorite. She was my favorite name on that list. That they had, so that's cool.
She's good.
So there you go. That's your Marvel news. And then in some DC news, out of nowhere, about a week ago, and I love how desperate all this sounds. Actually,
do you know what is the worst part? Yeah. Is there's so much random DC news that I don't know what this is off the top of my head.
Well, it's the only thing I've got from DC, I think.
That's fair, but yeah. I like it. It's 3 or 4 times a month there's this is happening or this cast I don't remember this one anymore.
What gets me though is how this was written at almost every place, where it made it sound really desperate. So Ezra Miller, in a bid to keep himself as the Flash and keep the role, is now co-writing a new version of the script, a darker version of the Flash, which he is co-writing with comic book writer Grant Morrison. This is such a weird news story that came out of nowhere. So weird.
Like, Grant Morrison knows the Flash.
Yes,
he does. He knows what he's doing. If you told me there was just, hey, Grant Morrison's doing a script, I'd be excited.
Yes.
Then you tell me, oh, Ezra Miller's making it this darker version for reasons.
And this is the thing.
Movie to happen anymore.
This is the thing. Like, dark can actually mean a lot of things. I feel like dark, when Warner Brothers talk about their superhero movies, has a very specific thing that it conjures up. It has a Zack Snyder connotation. It has this edginess to it. Yeah. Dark doesn't necessarily mean that. There's actually plenty of Flash stories I like in the comics that are dark, because the villain does something really bad. And
if this wasn't connected to DC movies, I would agree.
Yeah.
But contextually, it's got these connotations of, oh, that's what this means in this. And so I'm assuming that's what it means here as well.
The reason why I'm clarifying that, though, because as soon as I complained about this on Twitter, some people said, no, dark doesn't necessarily mean this. And I'm like, no, you're right, dark doesn't necessarily mean this. Not everything has to be this light-hearted thing. Not everything has to be Shazam, which is getting good buzz for being light and fluffy. I don't know if it's fluffy. I don't know if anyone's described it as fluffy, but I added that. Right? But the way they use the word dark in past movies does not fill me with confidence. It makes me think it's going to be this, because I don't think the Flash character himself should be a dark character is the key thing here. It doesn't necessarily mean that he can't be a part of dark stories, because there's plenty of, the current going origin of the Flash right now is that his villain went back in time and murdered his mother, like, which he witnessed as a kid, like,
to essentially create him.
Yes, that is a dark concept. But the Flash himself as a character is not this dark, brooding character where everything's edgy all the time, which, here's the thing, Ezra Miller, at the moment he was cast, I said he's miscast, because I look at him and I think edgy, I think emo, I think all these different things, I think, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not excited by this, and I don't even necessarily always like Grant Morrison. Sometimes he's great, but I don't always love him. And even if you do love Grant Morrison and his comic work, has he ever actually like done a successful screenplay before? Has he ever done movie writing?
I don't know. Fair question.
Because it's not like Jeff Johns translated that well to the visual media.
No, that's fair.
At least not right away.
I don't know how much he's actually written. I assume he wrote some of Happy, because obviously that was an adaptation of his own work.
Which was okay, but not great.
Yeah, I'm just having a quick look at his IMDb. Let's see, Happy. These are all just character credits and stuff. No, that's Happy is the only thing he's written as an actual script, I think. So
yeah, I'm not super pumped by this. Yeah, apparently the previous version they had was more of a comedy, which apparently Warner Bros. Wants a lighter film because of the good buzz that Shazam's getting, for other reasons.
Aquaman was relatively light as well, and
they had John Francis Daly and Jonathan Goldstein working on the script from January 2018. It was lighthearted. They had worked on Spider-Man: Homecoming and Game Night, so you can kind of see where they were coming from. But apparently Miller wants to try and do a darker version, so they've hired him and Grant Morrison to do a draft of the script, which may not get picked up, but I don't like the sound of this. So
I just want this movie to be put to bed. Just take it out back and shoot it in the head and just be done with it.
Yeah, this sort of development hell, I can't see leading to, even if it ends up being okay, I can't see it leading to like, oh, like this is the Flash franchise where we're going to get like a trilogy out of, and it's going to be this epic Flash journey that I wanted my whole life.
That's the thing. Like, say what you want about Aquaman, right? It's not the best film. It's all right, but it never went through development hell. Not really. It was like, okay, we knew the writer, we knew the director. It was like, okay, this is what it's going to be, and it turned out a mostly coherent product.
That is so much praise. It turned out coherent.
No. It turned out coherent and then made $1 billion.
It's true. I mean, I have problems with the Aquaman movie. I think it's overstuffed and very surface level, no pun intended.
No, I agree with your problem. Yeah, we had a whole review where we agree with a lot of the problems, and it's not the best movie. It's all right. But I think the fact that it comfortably made $1 billion was a direction for Warner Bros. To go, yes, this can work for us. You know, it was proof that it didn't have to be, dark and gritty like their previous attempts were, and they can still make the money that they want. And then Shazam, obviously that was also in development along the same time, but is getting really positive early buzz, and hopefully it makes enough money to back that up to show, hey, to prove to one another, this is a direction worth pursuing. It doesn't have to just be the stupid, dark, gritty bollocks that we had for far too long.
I think the problem is for me is that I don't even know if they're taking the right lessons here. Like, we had one light thing be successful, so everything now has to be light. I think that's also the wrong attitude.
Oh yeah, it's also the wrong attitude. Yeah,
like the attitude should be each character should have a tone and style that is suitable for that character, that's true to that character, and that should be how we focus each movie. It's a case by case thing. Warner Brothers, from everything they've said, including what they're still saying now, until proven otherwise, still feels like a blanket thing. It still feels like no, this is the formula we want to apply to all the things. It
does. And the other thing is here, and related to this story specifically, Flash, I think, should be a lighter tone.
Yes.
Not necessarily a lighter story, but I think if you're doing Barry, it should be a lighter-hearted character.
Yeah.
And play off. You can have obviously horrific events, but tonally, I think it should be on the lighter end of the spectrum.
Yeah. Nah, not excited for this. So Hopefully it just goes away, is my hope.
Yeah.
Next up, Danger Girl is going to be a thing. Danger Girl is going to be directed by Jeff Wadlow, maybe.
Wadlow, yeah.
And it's going to start shooting in 2020. Danger Girl is described as a priority production for the Munich-based Constantine film, which is based on comic books. Obviously, that's why it's here in this section. Created by fan favourite artist J. Scott Campbell and writer Andy Hartnell. Published since 2012 by IDW. Long enduring comic book brand follows the adventures of lead character Abby Chase, who is reluctantly recruited into an all-female secret organisation. The daring Chase finds herself teamed with a trio of elite operatives: Sydney Savage, Natalia Castle, and Silicon Valerie. Okay, that one's pretty funny. Dispatched on a globe-trotting adventure to find and secure a series of objects with destructive power coveted by an evil neo-Nazi collective called the Hammer Syndicate. This sounds like it could be a fun pulpy time. The problem is Jeff Wadlow is the director of Kick-Ass 2, meaning I think this is going to be complete garbage.
Oh, God damn it. I knew I recognised the name.
Yep. I expect this to be complete garbage because I think he's a horrible director.
Maybe he got better.
Maybe he got better.
I've not seen anything since then. That was a while ago.
That's true. And maybe the problems in that were more the script than the direction. I mean, that's you could maybe
could be. Yeah.
You could argue that because I had a lot of conceptual problems with Kick-Ass 2.
Yeah.
After being a fan of Kick-Ass 1, I do want to point that out. I really love Kick-Ass 1, which is why
it's a great movie. Yeah.
Kick-Ass 2 upsets me as much as it does. And then finally in the comic book section, Nicolas Cage is signed on to star in Jitsu.
What the hell is Jiu-Jitsu?
A martial arts action indie written and directed by Dimitri Logothetis, who directed Kickboxer Retaliation and the upcoming Kickboxer Armageddon.
Well, he knows his brand.
Yes. Based on the comic book of the same name, which Logothetis wrote with Jim McGrath. So this is actually his own comic book.
Yeah.
He's doing. Here's the logline. Every 6 years, an ancient order of expert jiu-jitsu fighters faces a fearsome alien invader in a battle for Earth. When the war hero and master jiu-jitsu fighter Jake Barnes refuses to face Brax, the indomitable leader of the invaders, the future of humanity hangs in the balance. Injured and suffering from severe amnesia, Jake is captured by a military squad who have descended upon the planet and is rescued by Whaley, played by Nicolas Cage, and a team of fellow jiu-jitsu fighters who must help him recover his memory and regain his strength to engage in an epic battle that will once again determine the fate of mankind. This sounds like the most ridiculous 90s action movie I've ever heard of.
Is Nick Cage one of the jiu-jitsu masters?
It sounds like it.
I really hope so, because otherwise, what's the point?
I want to see Nicolas Cage jiu-jitsu. Joe, I'm getting like shades of Mortal Kombat. I'm getting like some like really 90s Mortal Kombat movie out of this.
I can see it.
And the fact that this guy's done nothing but Kickboxer direct-to-video sequels.
It tells you what to expect,
yes.
Right?
So this could be a glorious thing, or it could just be boring. I'm not even sure which, but I'm hoping it's gloriously bad. Emphasis on the glorious.
Yeah.
That will take us on, though, into the general Blockbuster stuff. I think we have to mention this. There's not a lot of news to really go with this, but we have to mention that finally the Fox-Disney deal, the merger, the purchase, the acquisition, whatever you want to call it, has been completed. Yes. Yeah. It ended... actually, what I copied didn't have the date. It just said at 12:02 a.m. I was like,
I want to say March 20th.
Yeah. So it was like, right after midnight, it's done. Disney have got Fox, or at least 2/3 of what Fox had. And it's probably the biggest like thing in movie industry news in our lives.
Yeah, which is funny because obviously at this point now we've said it all, right? Until now it's just okay, it's official.
We've been talking about it for a year and a half. It's done. Yeah. The one notable thing that happened this week on it is that Disney immediately announced to be shutting down Fox 2000, which is a studio label run by Elizabeth Gabler. They'd done a bunch of films such as The Fault in Our Stars, Devil Wears Prada, Marley and Me, Love Simon, Hate You Give. They're currently working on The Woman in the Window, which stars Amy Adams and Gary Oldman, directed by Joe Wright. That'll be the last film under this banner. I mean,
I wonder why they're closing it, because that's quite a lot of successful films in there.
Yeah, the speculation just is that including that one, they have 11 film labels now between all the Fox and Disney stuff. So it's just a case of it's kind of redundant with some of the other stuff they've got.
With something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only surprising thing about this really is that they actually kind of they weirdly promised a long time ago they wouldn't shut this one down, which makes everyone go, well, everything else you've promised, what else are you going to do that you said you weren't going to?
Yeah, that lasted a whole 2 hours.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm not actually that upset by this because again, they've got 11 film labels. If this is just redundant on top of one of their other labels, sure, whatever,
Yeah. I felt bad for all the people who lost the job.
Of course, yeah. Apparently, the Fox TV divisions are going to be, getting rid of tons of people in the next little while.
I'm not surprised. Yeah.
It's just kind of the nature of mergers and stuff. But I mean,
yeah.
No, I go.
Just shift a little bit of speculation.
Mm-hmm.
Things like, how long till we find out that we're never going to see New Mutants?
I'll let we're never going to see it. I think it's going to go to VOD. I think it'll be just shut out on VOD.
Do you know the reason I question that, though?
Why?
Is apparently the reason that it's been delayed so much now is the reshoots. They still haven't finished those reshoots. They still need to be doing more. They haven't. Yeah, they didn't get finished before the acquisition. So Disney now has to actually invest money to finish this off.
Joe, what's annoying about this is that if this never actually sees the light of day, if this never comes out, it's going to develop this cult-like obsession of can we ever see the movie? Can we ever get between obviously the reshoots weren't done, but between the original cut and what you did reshoot, can we get some sort of cut that so we can see the film? And it's going to have this weird not stigma, but this weird
release the mutant cut.
Release the mutant. Yeah, this weird kind of what's the word I'm looking for? When something has a mystique to it. No pun intended. It's going to have this mystique, even though it's probably a really boring, shitty film. But people are going to obsess over seeing it for years, probably, because it never came out.
Yeah.
It's just going to be one of these weird things.
I get it.
So that'll be annoying. Here's the questions I have. I have a couple of questions based on things I care about at Fox, right? One, what are they doing with Alien and Predator? I want to know what they're doing with those franchises. Are they going to let Neil Blomkamp do his Alien sequel? I suppose it depends if his RoboCop sequel does well.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll come up.
Which it won't.
Because I'm fairly certain they're not going to touch Avatar too much because, first of all, the next two are already done, basically. It does in post. And the first one made such a shit ton of money, they'd be silly to...
Also, don't they have a big...
theme park?
Avatar stuff at the parks, so...
It's almost like they knew this was coming and they wanted to get ready for, that's ours now.
A little bit of inside information going on there.
Yeah, because I wonder if there's licensing fees to having a section. Let's say they've got a section of the theme park from based on something from another company. If they then own that thing, I assume any charges of that go away, or do they still pay it out of some weird kind of just sort of paperwork obligation, even though they don't really care because it's just come back to themselves essentially.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, what are they doing with Alien and Predator? I'm curious about that. And I want to make a plea. I want to make a plea to Disney.
They're not listening to you. Disney does what Disney wants.
I want to make a plea to Disney. There has been an unforgivable, unjust error that was made by Fox in the last few years that I want Disney to step in and correct and redeem the honor that needs to be redeemed. The current HD remasters of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the hit television show, are atrocious. They are a horror to behold.
They are. All I'm going to say is, don't hold your breath. We're still waiting on the Star Wars cuts. So
see, there's a weird stigma to that, right? Whereas in this case, not only has Whedon come out and said these remasters are garbage, several cinematographers and directors from the show have in fact, people raised such a stink about this when they hit Netflix that Netflix took them down and put the SD versions back up in their place. There was a great video this past week from Passion of the Nerd. Going into it in depth and analyzing all the problems with the remasters, and it's sickeningly bad. You know how seasons 4.
I've seen it.
You seen it? Yeah. Well, this is for the audience. This isn't just for you, right? Season 4 onwards was 16:9, internationally anyway. For some reason,
it's actually the only version I've ever seen.
Yeah. For some reason, even those are cropped on the 16:9 HD remasters.
Wait, so the cropped again.
They're cropped again. There's comparisons in the video. They're really neat. Basically, because obviously I'm in 16:9, so I can just kind of. It's as if they went like this and just took like a chunk of it. So the framing's completely ruined, even in shots where they didn't have to ruin it. They didn't need to. Everything's been DNR'd, so there's like comparisons in jails. Looks like he's made of wax, and it's just
that's not good. It's bad.
It's awful,
but it's expensive for them, and what's the benefit?
There's a new Buffy show coming out. Now is the time to strike. Now is the time to put the work in. If Charmed can get a prestigious remaster, then the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Oh, that said, I think Charmed they stopped doing it after one season because season 1 didn't sell that well on Blu-ray. But
yeah,
but
that's why the rest of the Star Trek shows didn't get on, because they didn't sell enough.
I think Deep Space Nine will still happen at some point. I genuinely do. I think because at this point it's not even for Blu-rays. At this point it's just for because they're going to be on streaming services forever. They want them to look good on the streaming services. Yeah.
They do, but the thing is, they've already sold them to the streaming services, and
no, their own streaming service. You're thinking about it.
Okay,
there's going to come a time where they're going to want, and hell, that could be a selling point. Come to our own streaming service because we have the new remasters. We have.
I mean, DC Universe did that with Batman Animated. Obviously, they released the Blu-ray as well. They might as well.
They might as well make some money that way too.
Yeah, of course. It's a Blu-ray and it's on their service, and that's it.
Yeah,
right?
and I imagine they'll maybe do other ones because they did Wonder Woman the '70s show as well. They did that in HD for DC. Yeah. So they might do more over time. They might do a Superman animated series at some point because it's a reason to have a selling point.
Do you know what they're definitely going to do? Swamp Thing.
No one remembers that. I didn't know it existed.
I know, but hey, you got a new Swamp Thing show coming. I mean, big cross promotion.
I genuinely think it's possible with Buffy and Angel, and I think Disney do the right
After
thing.
Star Wars though,
do the right thing. It doesn't even need remastered. They just need to put the right cuts out.
Exactly, it's even easier. There's
but that's
any financial risk.
But that's not Disney being stubborn though. That's tied up in weird things because of the history with Lucas.
Disney could sort it out if they wanted to. They're rich enough.
They could, but I'm just saying, I would buy Buffy and Angel remasters at a high price, properly done, loving care remasters that uphold the original intention of the filmmakers. I would do it.
You done?
I'm done.
This is a movie show, remember?
This is the movie show, but we're talking about Fox and Disney, and it's the one thing. It's what I care most about between this Fox Disney bollocks.
I think you might have spoke more about Buffy there than we did on the TV news this week.
I can't even remember if there's a good Buffy reference coming up later, but that wasn't a reference. That was actually me wanting to talk about it in a serious way.
Mm-hmm.
So next up, the new Terminator film, Tim Miller directed, Cameron's producing, coming from Paramount and Skydance. It's got a title. It's called Terminator Dark Fate, which was actually the rumored title for a while, but it's official now.
It's fine.
It's a shitty direct-to-video sound title, to be honest. I don't like it, but maybe it'll be the one good sequel after 2.
Yeah, maybe. Don't hold your breath, though.
After 2. I'll just point that out before everyone jumps and says, what did you say about Terminator 2? I did, but just in case anyone missed that little part of the sentence, I'm just reiterating it.
Okay. Yeah, it was clear.
After 2. We got some dates. You want some dates? I got some dates. Space Jam 2 is going to be, as this article put it, hitting the court on July 16th, 2021. This was originally labelled as an untitled WB event film, which may have always been this, but, it depends if you count it as an event film, yeah. So that's July 16th, 2021.
So right around my birthday, that'll be something cool to do.
If you wanna jam, if you wanna slam. Yeah, I remember the soundtrack for Space Jam.
Of course you do.
Hey, Space Jam is the only reason why I knew who Michael Jordan was, alright? The only reason.
That's fair.
Yeah, you were about to insult me, and you're like, "No, wait, that's probably the reason why I knew him too."
I got nothing.
Yeah. But hey, Godzilla vs Kong, and of course my boy Godzilla's getting top billing, right? Correcting the unjust original King Kong versus Godzilla from 1963 or 4, whatever year it was. This is correct in that. Godzilla's getting top billing because he is the superior of the two. It should be accepted. This is moving up. This was originally slated for sometime in May 22nd. It's moved up 9 weeks to March 13th, 2020. Which is weird because that's like less than a year away now. And, you know, the next Godzilla film is only out in a couple months.
So there's less than a year between the Godzilla film and then this. That's kind of weird.
Godzilla 1 to King of the Monsters was...
Like 5 years? That was 2014,
right?
Yeah,
5 years. 5 full years from 1 to 2, and then Godzilla vs. Kong's a year later. Less than a year, even.
That's ridiculous.
I know, it's
Space
weird.
it out.
It's because it took so much time to get the last one going, because they like changed directors and stuff, so it got delayed, basically, in development.
Yeah. At least we had a Kong in the middle to fill that gap.
That's true. A weaker film, but, you know, I still enjoyed.
It was enjoyable,
well enough.
Unless you asked Matt, in which case it was bloody fantastic.
If you asked Matt, it was basically Citizen Kane for a new generation. So...
I like how people think we're exaggerating, but we're not.
I like the idea of using that for just any random movie. It's a Citizen Kane for a new generation. Yeah, so
Skull Island, the next Citizen Kane.
So it was originally going to be competing on 22nd of May 2020 next year, with both Fast and Furious 9 and the SpongeBob movie. I think they made a wise call and said, let's not compete with both of those, and let's move it up.
Yeah. People care about all of these things.
Do you want the punchline of this, though? Technically, right now, it is competing with a movie on the 13th of March.
Is it a DC movie that's definitely going to move?
It's funnier than that.
I don't know what's coming out in March 2020. You gotta give me something.
Gambit. Godzilla vs. Kong's competing with Gambit. Yeah, I'll believe that when I see a trailer. Yeah. So Godzilla vs. Kong's got a date to itself. I love how Legendary and Warner Brothers basically went, yeah, they're not releasing Gambit. It's not happening. We're taking that date.
That gave me a proper good laugh.
Oh dear. There is also an untitled Blumhouse film.
I wouldn't worry about it.
But yeah. I mean, they'll probably move, or it doesn't really matter that much because it's a different audience. I'm looking forward to obviously, I'm looking forward to King of the Monsters. But
I know. You haven't shut up about it.
But it's just weird though that this is coming next year, and there's nothing for it yet because they don't want to promote this before the next one.
Makes sense.
So it's going to be so quick in terms of turnaround. It's bizarre, but
we're getting post credits on this one, right?
I'd expect it. I'm staying till the end of the credits to see if there's because there was one at the end of Kong.
There was,
yeah, teasing the stuff. But hey, so you get that, and then another date, The Many Saints of New York, the Sopranos prequel movie, is going to be coming out on September 25th, 2020. And then a couple more dates. Warner Bros. Announced 2 new dates for some films. We have an Untitled Sesame Street film and a Tom and Jerry movie, both releasing in 2021. The live-action Sesame Street musical is set for January 15th, 2021. And that's
a dead period.
And that's co-financing with MGM. And then the hybrid Tom and Jerry movie, meaning live action and animated, is going to be directed by Tim Story, and it will arrive 3 months later on April 16th, 2021. So
I'm intrigued. I like Tom and Jerry.
That's the way I grew up with. I mean, I was always a bigger Scooby-Doo guy, growing up.
Me too.
But I like Tom and Jerry a lot, yeah.
Can't go wrong with Tom and Jerry.
Yeah. So there you go. That's cool. So next up, I wasn't even sure to put this in or not, but I thought it was worth mentioning that Warner Brothers CEO Kevin Tsujihara has stepped down after some controversy of him trying to get an actress parts, an actress who seems to be in some sort of a extramarital affair with, shall we say? Yeah, but what was the actress's name? Did I copy that part? Maybe I didn't copy that part. Oh yeah, it's Charlotte Kirk. Yeah, it was quite far down. Charlotte Kirk. He got her roles in Ocean's 8 and How to Be Single. And he stepped down. I don't really have a whole lot to say about it. Obviously, don't do it. I mean,
yeah, it's not going to change much in terms of the direction of the company.
I doubt it. No. But it was just like I never like. I mean, obviously we pay attention to news, but I don't know who the CEOs of most of the companies are, so I never really knew his name. But all of a sudden there was all this news about like controversy in his phone and like what he's been up to.
Yeah, there's like a handful of CEOs in general that I'm aware of.
Yeah, so
but I mean,
there
not
you go.
This one.
Next up, some casting. So Christopher Nolan's next film, which is coming July 17th, 2020, the mysterious film. I like how they handle his films. I like how they announce, oh, Nolan's got a film.
Wait, what was the film that was July 16th?
July 16th. There was a July 16th film?
Was there not?
Oh, God, you make me scroll back up now.
Is it Space Jam? Is that July 16th?
Space Jam, July 16th. That's 2021, though.
That's 2021. Okay.
Different year.
I'm having a good couple of birthdays.
So Christopher Nolan, I'm just saying that the strength of his name, that they can just announce Christopher Nolan's next film's coming this day.
We don't even know the genre of this film. There's rumors, but yeah, there was even conflicting rumors on that this week.
They describe it as an event film, and it's rumored to be an action blockbuster with maybe a slight sci-fi twinge, because someone compared it to like it's Inception meets something else. So I'm expecting a little sci-fi in there. But yeah, so that's coming July 17, 2020. We have John David Washington of BlacKkKlansman has been cast in the film.
He was good in that movie.
He was very good in BlacKkKlansman, so that's good news. They've also cast Robert Pattinson, obviously from Twilight.
Less exciting, but
I trust Nolan.
I assume Nolan has a reason.
I trust Nolan. And then Elizabeth Debicki is going to be in it as well. Who
like her a lot.
Yeah, she was in Widows. I liked her in that quite a bit actually. That was because I think what I liked about her in Widows is it was very different from the other roles I'd seen her in. Because I'd seen her be like powerful, like in Guardians 2, she was this like empress or whatever.
Yeah.
Where she was a very like sort of more down to earth character in Widows, which I thought was interesting to see.
No, she's good.
So yeah, we're shaping up a cast for Nolan's films. So. Worth mentioning. Next up, Emily Blunt is in talks to star in Not Fade Away, a feature film from Annapurna Pictures. David O. Russell and John Krasinski. John Krasinski being her husband, just for the record. They're producing this. Neither of them are going to direct it. At least they don't think they will. It's based on a 2015 memoir called Not Fade Away, a memoir of senses lost and found by Rebecca Alexander, who, born with a rare genetic mutation, she's an X-Men. Is that what I'm saying? Come on, that's a solid joke. It caused her to lose her sight and hearing over time, but she beat the odds and expectations of her prognosis. So, it's an uplifting story.
Yeah. It is what I don't know if I'm that interested in watching it. I mean, could be a good film though. I mean, it'll depend on okay, if the trailer looks good, I could be convinced. I like Emily Blunt.
Yeah. Next up, we have a couple of voice casts for the animated Scooby-Doo film called Scoob. Zac Efron will play Fred.
I didn't even know this film existed.
Yeah, we're getting an animated Scooby-Doo movie. Amanda Seyfried is going to play Daphne.
I can see it.
Yeah. Who, of course, is taken over from Sarah Michelle Gellar, who played Daphne in the live-action films in the early 2000s. Who you may know, of course, from the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So easy.
Utter bullshit.
Someone pointed out in the comments, by the way, that I missed one in The Dark Knight when we reviewed The Dark Knight.
There's one in Dark Knight?
Yeah, Gordon's like cop that we were saying was like Bullock. That was Holt's on Angel, which I actually, as soon as he said it, I went, "Oh, it was. You're right." But
okay,
didn't realize I was watching it.
Shame on you.
I know, shame. So Tony Carvone is directing this Scooby-Doo movie, which has been produced by Chris Columbus and Pam Coates and Alison Abai. So this is interesting, actually, the premise of this. I'm actually kind of excited by this premise. In the Scooby-Doo movie, they team up with other characters in the Hanna-Barbera universe to save the world from the evil Dick Dastardly.
Oh, I'm in.
Dick Dastardly is the villain in this Scooby-Doo movie. Yes! I'm
in.
For those who do not know, he is from Catch the Pigeon and Wacky Races. He is a delightful villain with his, Muttley.
We're getting Muttley, right?
Yeah, we have to get Muttley. Love Muttley.
Who doesn't?
Wacky Races is great. Everyone go watch Wacky Races.
It's the most underrated TV show in history.
Yeah. The most underrated. I don't know. Quarry's up there. I don't know.
Yeah, Quarry probably is up there.
Quarry and then Wacky Races are the underrated TV shows.
No. I think Quarry isn't underrated. It's just unknown.
Sure, it's unseen.
Yeah, I think Wacky Race is underappreciated.
Okay. All right, next up, Netflix have acquired the rights to Mary Kubica's upcoming suspense novel, The Other Misses. Netflix will turn the book into a feature film. The novel will be published in the US by Park Row in 2020. So it's, this is one of these early, books not even out yet.
Yeah.
Not even got a final draft probably at this point.
Probably not. No, it's got ages yet.
So, when Will and Sadie Faust inherit a house on a small remote island off the coast of Maine. Are we sure this is not a Stephen King pseudonym? They jump at the chance to make a fresh start with their family. But their eerie new home comes with some challenges, including caring for their 16-year-old orphan niece, who proves as unwelcoming as their new surroundings. When a neighbour turns up dead, the entire tight-knit island community rallies against the Fausts, who learn that they can't escape the secrets of their past. It's very... I don't know. I still don't really know what this is about beyond the town gets suspicious of them because there's a murder.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It feels like there's whatever this is really about is being carefully hidden by this. It doesn't want us to know.
Yeah. The ultra cynic in me says because they haven't got an ending for the book yet, they don't really know what it is.
You don't have to know the ending if you know what the mystery is.
I think if you're selling it to be adapted for a film, you should bloody know your ending.
Yeah, what I'm saying is I'm sure that's probably true for a lot of things that we've read, but we've never sat and guessed. So I don't have an ending yet.
No. If you're going, I'm going to make a script and we're going to put this in development. We've got an idea. Fine. When you're adapting something, if you're at the stage where you're selling the rights. Have an ending.
Yeah, but you're assuming this. I don't think they don't have an ending. I think I think whatever this really turns out to be about is something they want to really play, close to the chest.
Fair enough.
You're making a leap and saying they don't have an ending yet. I would like to think Netflix wouldn't purchase the rights to something where they don't even have an ending yet.
I don't know. We'll see.
Next up, actor, writer, director Macon Blair, best known for his roles in Blue Ruin and Green Room, so you know his face, has been tapped to direct Legendary's Toxic Avenger reboot. Blair's directorial debut, I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore, which was a Netflix movie, won the Grand Jury Prize at Sundance. I saw that movie. It was decent, actually.
I didn't. I heard a few good things.
I mean, it wasn't perfect, but it had funny. It had a unique tone to it. That's not a terrible idea. The Toxic Avenger tells the story of Melvin Junko, or Melvin Fred III in the original film, a scrawny janitor who becomes a violent mutant folk hero after being doused with chemicals in Tromaville, the toxic waste capital of America.
As you do.
I've tried watching Toxic Avenger a couple of times, and admittedly, I was on my own. Maybe with other people, I'd get through it. I had a hard time paying attention to it because it just
boring.
It was really bad in a way that I just couldn't quite get into the fun of. Maybe with other people making fun of it, I could probably get into it. But
yeah, you just need to be drunk.
Maybe it's a drunk watch movie, but I just don't drink, so unfortunately, it just doesn't work for me. But a remake though, I could see them doing a sort of really quirky remake and making it into something. So it's a thing. Especially having seen his other film and seeing what the humor was in that, and I can see it. So, Toxic Avenger reboot. Anything can be rebooted.
Have we not talked about this already?
I'm sure it was in development. I'm sure we talked about Legendary having one in development.
Yeah, because you're saying that with a level of shock and surprise. I'm like, sure, I remember this. I mean, there's new information in this story. Don't
I can still be in shock though.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm just not over it. That's what I'm saying. But that takes us on to the horror section. So starting up, Warner Brothers has announced that the title for the third Annabelle movie is Annabelle Comes Home.
I don't care.
Well, it's set in the Warrens' house, so it does make sense well enough. They also gave it a date. They moved up by a week. It went from 4th of July to June 28th. So, which is this year, for the record.
Oh, right, okay.
So this is coming up soon.
Just Talking about Conjuring, did I hear something recently that there was a different movie that got
Joe,
Conjuring slapdashed onto it?
It's funny you bring this up. Curse of La Llorona. Joe, why this is funny to me actually is when the trailer for this first came out, we did trailer talk. I said, and you can go back and watch that trailer talk. I'm pretty sure I brought up the fact that the priest in that trailer was also a priest in Annabelle. I brought that up. I know I did. So maybe they have slapped this on after the fact, but that is a hell of a coincidence that they went, hey, we can say he's playing the same character. I have to imagine it was technically always part of the... Like, they always intended it to be connected to Annabelle, at the very least.
Just feels really weird that they would never have mentioned that early on, right? You know, when Conjuring... That sells.
Because I'd forgotten about it, and I got the trailer when I went to see Us, and I saw him again and went, oh yeah! Like, he was always in this trailer. So
in the trailer when you saw it, you know, this past weekend, did that have the Conjuring stuff slapped on it?
No, I never mentioned it. But I remembered that news story, and I saw him and went, yeah, he was always here. He was an Annabelle.
Yeah, it's so weird.
So, which implies that either this was such a happy accident that he's playing a priest again, and they're just going to pretend it's the same character, or it was always intended but always meant to be like a quiet thing, or like just like here's a little Easter egg. This is actually connected to those.
Yeah, it could be.
But yeah, so that's coming at the end of June. So can't wait. I mean, the second one was better than the first one, so hopefully the third one continues that trend and is actually good. I mean, I like the premise more. The premise of the kids dealing with it in the house. I actually like. To me, that sounds like the Annabelle movie I kind of want. If I'm going to do a movie about a creepy doll,
yeah, sure.
That's more.
I didn't care enough about the first two to bother watching either of them.
Neither did I. I've got a horror movie podcast that I do.
Yeah, you watched the first one anyway, though. That was out of no sense of obligation.
No, I'm sure there was like an early 1.21 or something like that I did that for.
Yeah.
I didn't just see Annabelle because I wanted to see Annabelle. I know I didn't.
You might have done. You'd like Conjuring. You might have gone, oh yeah, let's go check it out. Could be just dodgy trailers. I feel like that's what a lot of people do.
Not that naive when it comes to these horror movies. And I think you know that.
You're not anymore.
All right. Next up, Michael Rooker has been set to star alongside Dylan O'Brien in a horror film called Monster Problems. It is a potential franchise that Michael Matthews from Five Fingers of Marseille will direct, with Sean Levi producing. Sean Levi, of course, produces Stranger Things, amongst other things. So it's about Rooker will play Clyde, an expert hunter who teaches Joel Dawson how to survive in the monster apocalypse. It's also described as a coming-of-age story about a young man living in a post-apocalyptic world.
This is such a Rooker role.
It is, yeah. I'm curious as to like how much of a because this sounds very direct to video and cheap to me, but they're saying franchise potential, so I don't know. I wonder like how much they're putting into this. I'm curious.
Yeah,
I like Rooker though. Rooker's
it's good. It's got presence.
Oh, he does have presence. He's wonderful as an asshole, of course, or a serial killer. Yeah. If you've ever seen Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, which is obviously a very early role of his, he is phenomenal in that.
The surviving, he's surviving, but presumably by being a dick.
Mm-hmm.
It's a typical Rooker role, but that's all right because it's what he's good at.
I wonder if there'll be like a likable side to him in this though, because he's one of the lead characters.
Yeah, it could be.
Universal Pictures has picked up the rights to The Creeps, a horror film based on a pitch from Horrible Bosses and Spider-Man Homecoming screenwriters Jonathan Goldstein and John Francis Daly. I mentioned at least one of them earlier. That was in the Flash story, because at least Goldstein had worked on that script. Yeah. Goldstein and Daly are on board to write, direct, and produce the film. Details are scarce in the plot, but it's described as a coming-of-age comedic horror. So, which it sounds like that. The Creeps to me sounds like a teen-friendly kind of horror thing. So that's happening. Ridley Scott, Scott Free Productions, and Atlas Industries and Spin a Black Yarn are teaming up in a film adaptation of the Bird Box author Josh Malerman's novel Black Mad Wheel, which is a weird title. Doesn't roll off the tongue. So we've got Burnett Bretler. What a name. Burnett Bretler. On board to write the screenplay. The psychological horror follows the Danes, a band known as the Darlings of Detroit, who are washed up and desperate for inspiration, eager to once again have a #1 hit. That is until an agent from the US Army approaches them. Under the guidance of their frontman, Philip Tonka, the Danes embark on a harrowing journey through the scorching desert, a trip that takes Tonka into the heart of the ominous and twisted conspiracy. That went in places I was not expecting.
That went off the rails.
It started off being a bit of band, and then the band take a job from the army to like do a dangerous trip across the desert. Like, what?
It didn't grab me. It felt too random.
It does feel random right now. Also, I assume when they're in the desert, there's going to be horrors there, but it doesn't really go into it.
I would have thought so, yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if the reason why the army are enlisting these because they want like expendable people to, get killed by monsters or something like that. I don't know.
Who knows? We'll find out.
A bit curious. And then finally on this week's news, final story. Dave Franco is set to make his directorial debut with a horror thriller called The Rental. His wife Alison Brie is going to be in it, as well as Dan Stevens, with Sheila Vand and Jeremy Allen White. So he also co-wrote the script with Joe Swanberg. Swanberg. I don't know why I thought it was an H. I went Schwanberg. Anyway, The Rental is a character-driven horror thriller about two couples who rent a vacation home for what should be a celebratory weekend getaway. And I assume someone shows up to make it a horrific nightmare.
It's usually how these things go.
Honestly, I mean, it's a simple premise I like in a horror
very
movie.
Generic sounding premise, but it's,
It doesn't matter if it's well directed. Like it can be a really basic killer shows up and torments them plot, but
as I said, execution. Right?
Yeah, if it's well directed, if the characters are likable, all these things can come together and be something. Is Dave Franco a good director? Who knows? But we'll find out.
Well, you definitely will.
Yes. Which may not be a bad thing.
It might not, but one way or another, you will find out.
That's true. I'll find out, and me and Tim will rent it and find out. I'm not going to lie, when I saw the title before I read it, I thought, I hope this is about a possessed rented videotape or something like that.
Of course you did.
That's where my mind went. Anyway, that has been the movie news for this episode. So we can wrap up and move on with our lives, basically.
Yeah, I can get some food.
Yeah, you can get some food. I can get some food. I'm a little bit peckish myself. So yeah, this has been 121 movie news. As far as movie stuff, obviously throughout the month of March, me and Connor have been reviewing the Batman movies. We have put up so far both Tim Burton movies, both Joel Schumacher movies, and the first two Christopher Nolan films. The final one, Dark Knight Rises, is already up for patrons. It'll be the final one that's up for the public as well before the end of the month, so you can look for those. So hopefully you've been enjoying those. I actually think this has been a really good series of movie reviews. Those movies. I think even the worst ones, we had good conversations about why they were bad. There was at least some entertainment value to be had. I think for the Nolan films, we had some really good in-depth discussions and analysis of,
and even some debates.
So make sure you check that out. I mean, it is worth noting though that the first four were 40 minutes to an hour long each. You get to the Nolan films and there were 70, 190 minutes each. So you could tell the quality of basically the meat and the bone, as it were, went up.
Yeah, they're better movies.
Yeah, more to talk about.
Yeah, but they don't have penguin bombers, so.
Shut up about these stupid penguin bombers! Oh my god, I'm not going to hear the end of this.
Yeah, I know how I feel every time you make a bloody Buffy reference.
Yes, but I'm quoting something with cultural relevance.
You're not even quoting anything. You're just saying like on the hit television show.
I never said I was quoting anything.
Just your last sentence was, I'm quoting something with cultural relevance.
Okay, sorry. I'm citing something with cultural relevance.
There we go. That's better.
All right. Fine. I chose the wrong word. Go ahead, sue me. Speaking of being sued, so it was a copyright strike on the channel this past week. The most recent Screams After Midnight, The Hole in the Ground, was taken down after a day. A random company from Turkey put a copyright strike on it, which is scary because if we get 3 of those, the channel can be taken down. So we've put in the counterclaim, of course, and they have, I think, 14 business days to actually start legal proceedings, or YouTube just automatically gives us the video back and takes the strike away, which is correct because all of our content is us talking, and that's it. We don't use clips, we don't use audio from things.
for exactly this reason.
For exactly this reason. And that does mean that we have not been cut out by the automatic copyright system in a long, long, long time. This one was manual for some reason. I don't know what they're playing at. But
yeah, it's like we use nothing that we haven't created.
Yeah. So I feel and because we have had like at least one thing where someone tried to like take the monetization and claim the copyright, and it was clear that it was just like a scam kind of thing. And if this was like I don't know if like they have people say, oh, it was because it was a negative review that we hated the movie. Like I don't know if like you can be cynical and say someone like has like a sham corporation who does copyright strikes for negative reviews or something like that. I don't know. Maybe that's just too conspiracy theory, but
no, I've definitely heard of companies that will do copyright strikes on your behalf if you request them to. That's a thing.
Because it's a random company. I tried to like research them before I put in my claim or my counterclaim. I wanted to know what I was doing and what I was fighting specifically, and all I could find was other people saying they'd had copyright strikes, and just a general location. They're based in Turkey. And that was it.
There'll be a company because that'll be what they do is you get companies like that, and then the party that actually thinks they have a claim for whatever reason, or more like in this case, didn't like the review, does it through this other company to give them this anonymity. So it's just because they can, because YouTube has no reason to stop that.
Which is bullshit. I think if they have claims that are not like if they have X number of claims that turn out to be false, they should be penalised for that in some way.
Yeah, and then they'll just go and make a new account.
Stop making this worse.
I'm just saying.
There should be a system in place.
There should be a system, yeah.
Okay, how about this then? How about if a channel has had certain amount of claims and we've proved them all false, we should have some sort of like
benefit of the doubt.
Like so some sort of buffer period where they'll actually look into it first before they strike us.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think that's fair.
That's a better system.
Yeah, because we've proven that we're not, scummy or scammy or whatever. Pick your word. Anyway, so that review is missing just now, and it should hopefully be back up within about another week and a half once we hit that business day limit. So hey, that is that. So Batman reviews are up. So obviously, there's all Screams After Midnight up. The first ever Screams After Midnight Patreon exclusive episode went up last weekend. It's called The Invisible Maniac. You get that for the $1 tier.
How terrible was it?
Oh, it was terrible, but it was wonderful. This was I encourage you to watch it terrible. This was not bad to watch terrible.
The fun kind, then.
I feel like most people who watched that review then said, how can I get a hold of this because I want to watch it now. It's delightful.
Tell me the answer is YouTube. I love it when that's the case.
I did find a version of it on YouTube, but it's got like some Eastern European like dub on it. It's not the original version, so you can watch it. You can watch it in a different language, but which does
sound that sounds like it might be funnier.
I don't know. The lead actor, man, he gives it his all. It's a shame to lose his performance. It really is. So you can get that. That's why it's exclusive at Patreon at patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. If you want to support the show and the channel and everything we do here, you can head over to Patreon and get access to things like that for $1. And then there's some other stuff in higher tiers and so on and so forth. And you can do that. As for anything other movie-wise that's coming up, obviously there'll be more influxes and so on. You can expect the Us review up fairly soon from me and Tim from Screams, and of course next week or 2 weeks from now, the Shazam will be coming from Gigawatts. So there's stuff coming up over the next little while to have a look at. Go have a look see. And patrons, make sure you do your votes before the end of the month. The Influx and Streams votes are up for patrons at the $5 tier. Go have a look at that. Otherwise, come back and join me when I stream on Monday. I do a stream.
It is usually just him though, so I mean
that's true.
Be warned, it's unfiltered Pete.
Yeah, there's a stream early on Monday. For most time zones. This coming week it'll be about 6:30 UK, 2:30 Eastern, and 11:30 Pacific on Monday. And you can come along like that and you just chat about whatever. It's a couple of hours usually, and there's usually a late stream as well, sometime on Tuesday or Wednesday. I can't pinpoint that down every week though, but there'll always be something that goes up saying this is coming up later today on the YouTube page. But you can help join and chat and whatnot. and hang out. But that is 121 Movie News, so thank you very much once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching movies, guys. And if you can get it, it's always nice to have diplomatic immunity.